Hey there again, folks. Welcome back to the Real Long Walk. Hopefully everybody's week has been pretty well. Mine's been alright. Been a solid okay. Leaning towards a good okay. A good solid good okay. I'm so good at being super positive, ain't I? I'm totally not a neutral person. Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, it's pretty nice when I got $1 million. Didn't have to worry about nothing. Yeah, I was fairly happy. Yeah, yeah, I was okay. That's probably what I'd say. I'd be like, $1 million? Yeah, cool. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, sure. it's well, nah, I'd probably be a little bit more excited than that, but that is something I've noticed about myself. I am very often just like, yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know what geared me towards that, but that's how I be. Um, but yeah, hopefully everybody's having a good week though so far. I was about to repeat myself, and glad I didn't. You may hear some occasional sound effects. It is actually storming some in my neck of the woods right now as I record. Hopefully, no interruptions in my power will happen. That is, I suppose, something to concern myself with. Hopefully it won't happen. Okay, good. Boat didn't break. Hopefully this is a continent. But yeah. It's been raining and thundering off and on tonight. But hopefully it'll be alright. Hopefully it won't. I don't know if it's supposed to get severe or anything. Hopefully not. I suppose that is a possibility. It's March, so it's late March, but that's tornado weather. I know where I work at. We wound up having some pretty bad stuff year before last, or last year. I can't remember. Maybe last year. Honestly, can't remember now. I wasn't at work at the time, thankfully. But had some pretty bad weather down there. Some tornadoes came through, so that ain't something to play around with, that's for sure. So yeah, if you got tornadoes coming through your area, be safe. I've never just been super concerned with it, but I mean, it's definitely good to be observant, Hey, sirens are going off. Let's find out the reason, that sort of thing. Rather than, hey, sirens going off. I'm gonna go back to sleep. So yeah, it's definitely a thing to be aware of. You don't want to be caught, unawares of in a bad situation like that. This is not the topic that I actually was thinking about talking about, but okay, I guess we'll go with it. Why not? I was just thinking, wow, this is a topic here, weather and stuff. A lot of folks in my family's always been concerned with weather. My granny was very concerned with weather. I remember whenever we'd be staying up there, when it was stormy, if it just lightened, we would go out to the storm house. We had a little storm house built. Well, I say we. well, I mean, yeah, we, I guess, it's the way to say it, you know, as far as the, the family store mouse. There where my granny lived, uh, just kind of under some dirt, it's concrete, enclosed. We would go in and sit, whenever, it was, definitely when it was severe weather. I know that we went out there some just when it was, just some lightning. We would probably, if my granny was alive and we were up there today, we would probably be in the storm house right now. Which as a kid, wasn't something I always wanted, but I know we spent many an hour in the storm house. And I mean, I suppose there's good reason for him to, for to be so worried about weather. I know that there was maybe when she was growing up, my granny, there was a bad tornado that hit where they lived at one point, and I know like just before I was born, there was a bad tornado that actually tore the porch off of the of Granny's house, so Granny and Granddaddy's house. So that happened. That was a really bad sequence of tornadoes, from what I've heard. I've heard that my granddad and my dad was in the house when it tore the porch off. Everybody was out in the storm house, and they were on there watching TV. Not the Weather Channel back in those days. I don't know if there was a Weather Channel back in the 80s, but it was the local news, local meteorologist. And, they were wanting to be up to date on that sort of thing. And, well, it's kind of hard to be up to date when the tornado forms right over the house. So, yeah, it was a close call. Definitely a close call, but everything worked out well. So yeah, good reason to be worried. Good reason to be maybe not worried, but like I said, aware of such issues. And I'm just recording Minecraft right now. I don't know what the weather is supposed to be. Yes, good job, Shook. You are doing exactly as you say. Well, there's been no sirens going off, so I would put the video on hold if such a thing happened. And I turn in anticipation of such a thing happening right away. So yeah, what I was wanting to talk about, here's a topic for us to discuss. I don't know how much I actually have to say about it, but I do. It is an interesting thing to think about, I think. I finished playing Deponia Doomsday. I said in the last episode I was pretty close to beating it. I did beat it shortly after that video, and I took in the ending. I was like, and I went and looked up what other people thought of the ending of Deponia Doomsday. It brought up a pretty interesting thing. Interesting thought. When people put out entertainment, and I guess, YouTubers have a, kind of maybe at a lesser extent, to a lesser extent this problem. But whenever you do something such as a book, movie, games, sort of thing that people really enjoy and they get into, and they kind of make it their own, they get into the characters, they get into the world, they want to get as much of that as possible, and when things don't go the way that they expect it to or want it to, you know, it can be some pretty strong reactions and not exactly nice stuff said about said creator of whatever thing. And I think I've heard such things, you know, about George R. Martin. You know, how dare him kill so and so? I like that character. You know, I've heard people say, uh, you know, about in The Walking Dead, if they ever kill Daryl, I'm not watching that ever again. You know, screw them. They're stupid. You know, stuff like that. Um, and I mentioned before about how the Deponia trilogy didn't exactly end the way that people kind of wanted, and I agree with it to some extent. It didn't end the way that I would have thought and kind of want. But I guess here's the question: you know, if something like that happens, you know, how do you react? Do you kind of do you get hurt by that, or do you you know respect, you know, well, here's the vision that they had for it. That's the vision that they wanted for it. They did it. You know, they were inside the characters more than anybody else. The story. So they know best how said characters, ending, world, you know, how it turns out, you know. And I think that is the way it should be, you know. People who make things should do things the way they feel is right, you know. And like I said, the Deponia trilogy didn't really end in a way that a lot of people liked. And I think I mentioned that Doomsday involves time travel. And to be kind of, I'm going to try to be, you know, somewhat, you know, I'm going to try to be vague, but if you don't spoilers for the Deponia series, I'm not going to say anything too strong, but I'm not going to say anything flat out, but perhaps you could interpret it exactly what it means. You might want to skip forward about 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah, there's a lot of time travel involved in Deponia Doomsday. And a lot of the events that happen in Doomsday revolve around events that happened in the original trilogy. And it makes you think that, hey, you know, this is the remedy for it. And it definitely, and one thing to consider is, because of, I'm pretty sure that Deponia Doomsday happened because of strong fan reaction of, hey, we love Deponia. Hey, we'd like to see more of it. Hey, we would like to see the problem remedied, you know, and the way that Deponia Doomsday turns out, is the people making it. I think the head guy on it, his name is Pokey. He's the guy who you hear in like the. He does like the songs in it. You hear it's like the bearded guy who does a lot of singing in it. And I think he was the lead on the game. Like, it was his game. He wrote it, and you know, it was over a lot of different things. You know, just help like sketch out a lot of the backgrounds, a lot of the puzzles. You know, he was the lead manager on the game, and the way Deponia Doomsday ends, it's basically saying, hey, there's no problem with the way the first one happened, okay? So yeah, it's an interesting thing, because it does feel pretty strong, like that's kind of, you know, some subtext, like, this is how we said it was going to end, and this is this is quit quit complaining. This is how it ends, okay? so so yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting thing, about how a lot of people complained about the ending of it, and how there was a new game that happened, and the same people who were severely disappointed at the ending of the third game was also disappointed in in the ending of that one. So I actually was going through the Steam forums because I was curious about people, how they reacted to it. Because I did, I didn't know exactly how to react to it myself. I had to take a little bit to really know how I feel myself about it, and I was curious about how other people felt, and I saw stuff like, well, I just wasted $30. Somebody said that, and I was like, So even though the game was enjoyable, the fact that the story ended on a similar note, it made it not worth the fun time that you had with it. And I will say, I definitely I enjoyed the game. Enjoyed Deponia Doomsday. From my point of view. But yeah, because of the way the story ended in it, that person felt that time and money was wasted. So, just a really interesting thought. I thought. I think another thing was the team. Pookie and the team were saying, and actually, to be honest, it says it towards the beginning. And it actually says it towards the beginning. Goal has like this little monologue at the beginning, and she actually says something like, "Be careful what you ask for," and stuff like that. So it's really, I thought that was a really interesting thing. People got a new game, but they weren't happy with it because it didn't remedy the problem they felt the original trilogy had. And again, I guess you could think, I guess in a way you could argue that the people you make the game for, you could argue that, hey, we should listen to these people and do things that they say. But then again, I would think that when you do something like that, you lose kind of, you made the characters, so you made the world, so you would know better than anybody else how it should end, So that's the argument against that. I mean, some feedback definitely is good, but I think that, as the people who made the game, or people who make whatever, should be the person who makes the final decision on, okay, we hear you. You didn't like that, but we didn't just choose the ending, like we were sitting on the toilet and just was like, hey, you know what? We'll end it this way, done. I'm sure it's definitely a more in-depth process at making such decisions than that. So yeah, I found that kind of an interesting thing to think about. I know it's kind of a creative person myself. I've done some writing in the past. I need to do more writing in the future, but I've been lazy, and I haven't been wanting to try to balance writing with YouTube and stuff like that. YouTube is definitely a more immediate. What's the word I was trying to think of? I can't think of what I'm trying to think of. Hey guys, I've done some writing. I can't think of words. Yeah, Good job, Shook. You win stuff. But you know when in the stuff that I've written, I do come up with long-term background. There's reasons why I would choose to make something. I've got a long-term goal, and I kind of see how I want it to go. And any decisions that I would make on how things would happen, I make because hey, I want this to also be something that's important, to counterbalance that, I should be able to speak more intellectually about such things, but I'm finding it kind of difficult, Also, since it's still unwritten, I don't want to give any spoilers to stuff that I have thought of, and I guess I would say that the zombie book that I wrote, the ending that I have to it may not be super if it were to develop a following and people became with it being a thing about zombies, people become I want to say infested. That is not the right word for it. If they become infested with the characters, what are they doing with the characters that they become infested with them? Invested, INVESTED, in the characters, they may not like some decisions, made, particularly later on. But, those decisions I did make or will have made when I write it. I mean, from my point of view, as somebody who's very unorganized, I wrote a lot of backstory for stuff and have a goal of how things will end. That stuff could change. I mean, that is possible, but I do have a way that I see that things would change. I mean, a way that things could go if I do ever pick back up and start writing on it again. So, whenever that would happen, it's not something that just happened then. It happened because of planning way beforehand, and I'm sure that that's how the original Deponia trilogy, happened. Hey, this ending, we're doing Deponia 1. This could be part of a bigger story. I'm sure that he had some ideas even then of how he wanted to do. And I'm sure people like J.R.R. Martin, who... Wow, I screwed that up, didn't I? George R.R. Martin. Wait, what's Tolkien's name? Was he R.R. too? Or, wait. George R.R. Martin. That sounds right. J.R.R. Tolkien? Wait. Are both those guys double R's? I feel like I've noticed this before, but now I feel like I'm noticing it again. Wow. I almost said J.R. Rowling, but no, that would be way off base. I'm getting my authors all mixed up. But yeah. Is it J.R.R. Tolkien? John Ronald Reuel Tolkien? Yeah, I remember that. I don't know what. Maybe it's just George R. Martin, but I feel like it's 2 R's. That seems like too much of a coincidence, though, to be honest. Considering both of them wrote very important fantasy literature. I'm going to have to look that up after I get done recording. To see if they're actually the same. If they both have the double R's. But anyway, George R. R. Martin, I'm sure, did the same thing, and I know that. Somebody just shoot at me? I heard somebody shoot at me. Heard a skeleton. Oh well. I definitely know Tolkien planned things out way ahead of time. He wrote this huge freaking backstory that I don't think he ever actually planned for anybody to know about. With which became the Silmarillion after his death, and his son edited it down. If you haven't read the Silmarillion, it's not for everybody, but if it's your thing, you can super appreciate it. And if not, then you won't enjoy it at all. It's like history. It's like reading a history book, only with elves and dwarves and stuff like that. In the year of so-and-so, this happened. And instead of, historical events like Hitler and stuff, it's like, oh crap, what was the guy's name? Morgoth. Yeah, Morgoth is kind of the main villain throughout it. But yeah, Tolkien had things planned out way in advance. And even stuff that he actually never planned on people knowing, I figure. I don't think he ever made plans for stuff in the Silmarillion to actually be told. But yeah, point is, stuff like that, it's not just done all randomly, it's planned out. And I think people should respect the decisions that people make about such things. I was, I will admit that I didn't feel completely satisfied with the end of the third Deponia game, but thinking about it, the way that it does end makes perfect sense, and probably, I guess there could be ways it could be worked around, but of all other alternatives, I think it really did end about any other way it ended would have been a stretch, I guess is what I say. With good writing, that stretch could have happened, but I'm really not wanting to spoil it too bad. I'm actually going to be playing it pretty soon on my channel. I'm going to be giving that another go. So you'll know what I'm talking about then. I mean, I won't, spoil it over here, but if you watch that, you know what I'm talking about. But the way it does end, it does make perfect sense, and it's definitely, I feel, the best way it could have ended. In an experience like that, you don't, even though it was a pretty lighthearted game, it has some hilarious moments. It doesn't have to end fully the way it was, You know what I mean? Maybe, possibly. It made sense, is what I'm saying. Hopefully I'm saying that in a way that makes sense. Hopefully I'm making sense trying to say that something made sense. But yeah. This has kind of been a topic to ramble on about. So I made a good choice with a topic. Yeah, I made a good decision about something. I feel moderately happy. No, I feel like I said, moderately happy. Makes sense from the beginning of the episode where I said that I don't act super, that I never say I'm super enthused about stuff. But yeah, I guess I will leave it there. As far as that discussion, you guys can let me know what you think about such a thing. Should people who partake of of such things, you know, of a story, a game, a book, you know, should such people have a right to say that something that happens is wrong, or it's, well, yeah, wrong. You know, hey, we like this character, or hey, we think it should have happened in a different way. Um, you did this wrong. Is that something that somebody who's partaking of such a thing has the right to do, or should that be fully in the hands of the people creating such material? Yeah, it's actually a pretty interesting topic, I think. But yeah, I am gonna stop the topic there though. And once we get to this island, I am gonna end the episode on the topic of Deponia. Once the Lost Crown is done, which is almost done, I'm gonna be picking back up on Deponia. I'm going to start over. I'm going to try to finish it this time. I know last time that I tried to do it, I just felt like it wasn't quite giving it justice, with it being a point-and-click adventure and a let's play and stuff. But I have had more experience with point-and-click adventures with the Lost Crown. I have 55 or 56 episodes of experience with it, so yeah. Hopefully I can do it more justice and share that with folks. Tonic is actually doing his own series of it. He's doing it not exactly as a let's play, but that'll be out there pretty soon, so be looking forward to that also. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next episode. Guess we can go ahead and get a bed put down. Go ahead and sleep. Far have we traveled? 1,137,434. Cool. But yeah, I do sincerely hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode. Farewell.